This video is going to show you a Titan Glaive build. This is one of the most requested builds that I've had over the last few months. Is when are you going to run a Titan Glaive build in a solo GM environment? I've had that question a few times over the last few months. So I'm going to do just that today. Let's get the basics out of the way. Surges are void, surge, strand surge. Strand surge is critical for this. Well, it's not critical, but it's a nice additive actually. Solar threat is on. Champions are all of them. It's warden and nothing, of course. Okay, so before I show the build, some of you become a lot of very frivolous with dim links. Some of you are even willing to sell your own grandmother for a dim link off me. You're wanting to min-max D2 to that degree? Well, you need to realise, if you sell your grandmother to me for a dim link, you have maxed your D2, but your Sundered Inner min-max gains are lost. You're now operating at a low minimum skill level for Sundered Inner days. So on one hand you're gaining D2 and then your Sundered Inners are ruined. Grandmothers min-max your Sundered Inners, they're S+. Don't be selling your grandmother for a dim link. Dim links are for free. I've never charged for them. They're in the description. They're always in the description. They're in a pinned comment. I always give dim links. I always give them. So don't be selling a member of your family for a dim link. There's no need for it. You need to dial it in, lock in a little bit. Right. So the build itself, let's go through that now. A couple of things we'll get out the way before I go over the build. First question from a viewer would be, or the question that somebody would ask, why not use Wormgod over Symphoseps? Here's why I didn't. Wormgod is higher DPS with a glaive. The rework to Burn and Fist is that it decays less. It gives an increased damage to melee and weapon damage the higher level of your Burn and Fist. So Wormgod is better for dungeons because there is a DPS requirement in dungeons. In GMs, there's not a such DPS requirement in that sense, but there is a DPS requirement against champions. Now, Symphoseps does more than what Wormgod does. Let's read it. When you're surrounded, gain increased melee and super damage. It buffs melee and super damage. So if you use Wormgod, your super's not as good, but your glaive will be a bit better. But there's a buff up time. You've got to manage that buff up time. A general statement will sort this out. A Symphosept Titan is all you really need in solo GM environment. You don't need Wormgod. Wormgod though, there is more gains to be made from it in dungeon environment and raid environment, but we're not in those two environments. We are in GM. So we go with Symphoseps because it gives me a damage bonus to super, and the glaive buff is enough. You one-shot the red bars. You do enough damage against champs and so on and so forth. So the build. Using Blade, obviously there's only one strand super. Blade Fury's on, which is a remarkable super in the game. Rally Barricade for shorter cooldown, and it is actually still nice to use. It's a deterrent. You will see me use it as a deterrent here and there. Only one strand option, Frenzied. Blade. Grapple, I'm using Grapple Nade because this equates to another melee, so you get 4 melees. You could run Shackle if you want. I wouldn't mind if you did, but I like Grapple on this. I like more mobility on a Berserker Strand Titan. Aspects are Into the Fray and Banner of War. Banner of War needs to go on because you get that damage bonus. Right? So that definitely goes on. You got the health regen. It does a lot of things for us. Into the Fray goes on because you get Woven Mail when you destroy a Tangle. And then while you have more Woven Mail, you get more melee energy. So this is the play. Into the Fray, Banner of War. No need to use Drenger's Lash with this. Drenger's Lash is great, but not with this. You don't need to use it with this. There's no need, no requirement for it. Fragments are Thread of Fury for more melee energy on Tangle. Thread of Generation, pretty nice. You're going to get more. You're going to get another melee because of this, because your grapple will equate to a melee, won't it? Thread of Binding's really nice for +3 10 resil, and I like the Suspend and Burst on Blade Fury. It just enhances the super a little bit more. I actually love it. There is another fragment you could use instead, but like I say, I'm going with that. Thread of Warding, picking up of all power, grants Woven Mail. Right, so Woven Mail's a 45% damage resist. It's essential you run Woven Mail on a Glaive Titan build like this in solo GM environment, because you can still die rather quickly. I'll talk about that in the run itself. So the Glaive that I'm going with is Winterbite. The reason being is because it's a heavy Glaive, so its base melee attack does more than a legendary Glaive. It does more damage than an energy weapon Glaive like Chill Clip, etc. It does more damage because it's heavy. The big frigid Glaive thing, this freeze ball, is really good. So this Glaive will stun overloads and unstoppables, and it will also slow barriers. It won't stun barriers in the traditional sense, but it definitely slows them and delays that shield coming up. It's a fantastic Glaive in the game. Now, for Glaive builds, I see a lot of people do triple Glaive. There's no need for it. When you're using a Glaive build, you just need to have one Glaive on. You don't even need to have two. You could argue Chill Clip, Rake Angle, or Refusal of the Call's very good in the game now. But to be honest with you, to get the benefits off a Glaive build, you only need one on. There's not much more benefit by having two on. Yeah, because you want your other weapons to complement your build, your Glaive build, because the Glaive builds are good, but they have a weakness. Their weakness is range. So you put some ranged weapons on. So I'm going double rocket sidearm, and it works out very well. Reason being is because Tina's has Chill Clip, synergized with Bolt Charges very well. Lotus Eater has Withering Gaze, a 15% debuff, which will enhance my damage for my Glaive and my super, that is exactly what I wanted to do. So I actually like this setup. Rather than running triple Glaive, there's no point. It just makes the run worse if you run triple Glaive. There's no point. Like I said, you could run double Glaive and then a rocket sidearm, yeah, sure. But there's no requirement. You've got a Glaive on. Heavy Glaive does more than special Glaive anyways. Glaives are good, you know that. But like I say, in Warden at least, I just needed one Glaive, and that was Winterbite. Artifact mods are as follows. Limit Break to buff Blade Fury, 30% buff. Defib Blast for champs, Flashover for champs. No Bell is an 85% buff, I believe. I've got Special Finisher on. I've got Dielectric on, and I've got Hold the Line on. Now, there are a couple of strand mods, but I didn't go with them because all of this stuff's more important. Like, to shreds is okay, but on a Glaive build, you don't really need to shreds. I'm more concerned with champ damage. Champ damage in GMs is far more important than some of the strand mods, although some of the strand mods are OP. I'm just stating that I've highly curated these artifact mods for what I need in the run. Okay, so the armor mods, here they are, the armor mods. So I'm using Melee Kickstart, Heavy Handed, Double Solar Resist, Concussive Dampener, Double Scav mods for my weapons, Double Outreach, Procs Ward, Overshields, pretty standard stuff. I've got a Harmonic Siphon on by accident. This shouldn't be on. Forget about it, doesn't matter. Getting plenty of orbs in the run. I'm not going to rerun the run. Alright, look, I'll just do this. What's this? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Disappear. Your memory's blank. You never seen harmonic. Where's the Harmonic Siphon, that dude? There's no Harmonic Siphon. I don't know what you're talking about. It's like Men in Black when they hold up the laser thing. Your memory's erased. You never saw Harmonic Siphon, dude. Don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're going on about. But anyways, that was the build on with the run. Okay, so in this run, let's evaluate how well the Glaive build does, how weak I get, how good is the gameplay, because people are fanatical about Titan Glaive build in particular. Like I say, have been wanting me to run a solo GM with a Glaive build for a long time. So let's go over it. Right, so I'm building up Banner of War. I'm refreshing the timer. I'm going to get rid of the Fanatic because he cannot be Glaiveable. You will die if you Glaive that Fanatic. He'll just explode and kill you. So get rid of him. Then I'm going to do a Deterrent Barricade. I should be doing a Deterrent Barricade. Actually, I'm not. Generally, I do. I don't know why. Then we'll do a Grapple Melee. This aggroes the Overload to me. Look, and then we get a Stun because Winterbite will stun Overloads and Unstops because it slows. We can stun 2 ways with the glaive. Look at that melt, by the way. That melt was really good with no bell. And now what we want to do is just get rid of some of these ads, because I actually do want a super for the next champ, which I'm 3/4. So I'm going to get one, aren't I? So I'm going to actually, you know, spam my melee a little bit, because here's the problem with glaive build, right? And it was clear to me today a little bit. Heavy-handed doesn't work with glaives, and I think it's kind of annoying that it doesn't. Some things with melee builds in Destiny 2 work with glaives, and some things don't. And Bungie they're sort of intentionally doing that, where they're saying, right, okay, Synthoceps works with them, this works with them all, but this mod doesn't, that mod does. And it's sort of a grey area where with me, like, glaives are amazing in the game right now as a tool, by the way, but with me it annoys me because they're just a base melee, and they should be considered as a base melee for everything. I know you could spam orbs, but so what? That would incentivize people to play with a glaive. Heavy-handed should work with a glaive, and it doesn't on melee kill, and it definitely should, in my opinion. And that was sort of what was annoying me a little bit today. But again, let's just see how this run goes. So I've just about got my super, which I'm gonna I want it for this unstop and for the barrier coming up. So I'm just damaging this Hydra a little bit. I'm gonna skip the Hydra, of course. Right. The idea of this is to debuff the unstoppable with Withering Gaze. That won't stun, but it will debuff. Look, he's highlighted purple. There we go. Melt. Limit Break. Limit Break plus debuff plus Synthoceps. There's 3 things stacking there. Limit Break, you get a buff when you've got a buff matching your super. So Woven Mail or some, you know, Banner of War should proc it. You know, for example. Plus Synthoceps going to proc on Surrounded for the damage bonus. So look, we just do our melt here. That's no Banner of War against that champ. Look at the damage. The fact that we didn't have Banner of War there and we were doing that much damage to that champ confirms to me that on a champ damage rotation in a GM environment, the weapon is more than good enough. But again, there's some weaknesses to glaives, and that's on that long range engagement. So you've got to have good movement. Look at the tricks. Who's doing tricks like that in GMs nowadays? Not many people are doing that, I tell you that much. Show me the footage. Show me who's done that. No, but seriously though, like, your movement, if you're going to do solo GM glaive, your movement needs to be that much better than what it should be. You've really got to micromanage ads and their AI pattern and stuff. So this isn't for the beginner players, this is for more advanced players. But for some reason there seems to be an increased rise, and lately, since Ghost of the Deep rework came out, of glaive players. That's fine, you want to commit to it, alright? Well, you need to step up your movement then. That's what I'll say to you right away. Step your movement up. You need to know the AI of what you're doing with the pattern of the ads. Because you can die on this build even with Woven Mail. In GM environment. GMs do test builds, even though they're easier than they used to be. They still test builds though. So you can still easily die if you don't know what you're doing. You need to really dial in and lock in that glaive build, and your movement needs to be on point. You need to be proccing your Banner of Wars when you should be. You need to be guarding with your glaive when you should be, and stuff like this. I don't want to put people off. I just want to say, look, there's a bit of a skill requirement here for this. Before you don't just whip a glaive on and there you go. Yeah, you need to think about what you're doing, strategy. So, I use a super here. I melt down the Hydra and the first barrier, which is good. That barrier is a nuisance in this room. And taking down the barrier on the pedestal is the most important thing in this room. Once you've done that, you're then good to strategize the goblins where the barrier is, the next barrier. So you go for the next barrier. Now, I'm going to use a bit of melee charges here, then glaive, and I want to get a finisher kill. I'm using double special. I want to get special ammo finisher kills. Make sure you do that to manage your ammo. If you're going to run double rocket sidearm, which by the way, double rocket sidearm, think of it like this. It's technically one sidearm with 80 ammo. Think about it. They fulfill the same role. They're barrier sidearm. Now, what I'm saying might sound stupid to you, but think about it. I've got a sidearm with 44, another sidearm with 41, plus the ammo together, that's 85. So it's like you're rocking one sidearm with 85 because they fulfill the same purpose, but even better than that is one of them gives me a debuff, one of them's chill clip. So double special ammo builds. Sidearms are kings for that. Rocket sidearms and Glaives not as much. Glaives aren't as good for special ammo builds. They're okay. I mean, they're okay, I guess. But like original GLs and rocket sidearms are kings because your ammo management is pretty good on them. Look at this 180. This 180 Wyvern Gaze because he teleports. I Wyvern Gaze the boss, debuff. Then super look. I've got Banner of War ×1 at least. So I'm just about killing the boss. He's going to TP. Yep, he TPs. So we should be able to get rid of him. But he's in middle, that's fine. I'll just generate a little bit of super energy. Nice grapple. By the way, as far as glaives on Banes, it's top notch. Even on Drain Banes, glaives are. So if you guard glaive a Drain Bane, it will stop them from draining you. Hypernovas can be melted immediately. So if you can deal with Hypernovas and Drain Banes, then you can deal with all the other Banes. It's not a problem. So it's S+ for Banes. But like I say, adding ranged weapons to a glaive build completes the build, rather than saying, oh, I'm running a glaive build, let me run triple glaive. What's the point? You're using 3 same weapon types that fulfill the same role with no benefit, really. Whereas I know you're saying, well, I'm running 2 rocket sidearms to fulfill the same role. They do, but one of them's got a debuff. So it's adding damage to my kit, so it's worth it. See what I'm saying? So when we're doing builds of any sort, know the weakness of that build to try and buff it. I have buffed the build today by running double rocket sidearm with it. Because the build, look, we're melting unstops. It's fantastic for unstops. But where it suffers is range damage. If you've got to run 20, 40 yards to ads and they're all sniping you, it's a bit of a problem. Yeah, depending on what it is. I mean, Warden of Nothing's not too bad. Yeah, as a GM. Although, you know, the final boss can be hairy. I know people meme on Warden of Nothing, but if you do Warden of Nothing legit without the solo 1 cycle, it can get hairy at times because of how it works. Okay, so I haven't quite got a super, so I'm going to set off some of the mines, which I like to. I don't mind doing this. Sometimes I do it, sometimes I don't. I was in a mood of actually just setting them off. It actually preps A, B and C, so players who struggle on the mine section, just do this. If you prep mines for B and C, when you come to cap B and C, it just makes it a little bit easier for players. It's not essential, just a little tip. So watch this, watch what my super does. Watch what the super does. We kill 3 champs. So we pop super, barrier champ gets deleted. Then we go for the unstop because we can stun with our super, of course. Then we go for the overload, 3 supers, 1 champ. That is super to kill ratio is fantastic. If a super can kill 3 champs for you, that super is S+. Blade Fury is one of the best supers in the game. It's one of the best supers in the game, and Strand Titan is not off meta. It's not. If you watch some of the speedruns of certain dungeons and stuff, you will see people running Banner of War Titan. So, even though that we've got Prismatic in the game, Banner of War Titan can be sort of competitive with Prismatic builds sometimes. Not always. Sometimes it is just okay, run Consecration Titan, but sometimes it isn't. So, we're going to deal with this barrier first. Now I get weak here, but look at how I was good to survive there. Not me, but the build. Yeah, because of the damage resistance, because of Woven Mail, I'm surviving. So, it's getting good for resistance. It is. Now I debuff first. I think he's debuffed. I hope he is. Can't tell if he was debuffed. But I melt quickly with the glaive there. Right, now I'm going to do some optimizations. For people who struggle on mines, I'm just going to show you a strat. Timer on A is 30 seconds. You don't need to cap the point until 10 seconds. So why don't you optimize point C? Look, Look how easy it is. That way when you get to C, there's no mines and there's no ads. This might sound basic. It's basic to me. This is obvious. I've been doing this for years. This is child stuff to me. But to newer players who have just entered the game and stuff, because maybe they might be because of Edge of Fate, it's not obvious to them. So I shouldn't be ignorant and not show these strats. So sometimes I will sprinkle in strats that we used to use on the old GMs that was important, but now it's not. But to new players it is. And what's important? New players or me? For a video, the newer players are more important. You know, I think so. I think you should prioritise them a bit. But veterans can also learn as well, because there's a lot of veterans that, you know, they've played 10 years and they still learn things, and I still learn things. We still learn things. You still learn stuff. But this Minotaur's push, but if he does, just run around the map. I could kill him, but I don't really want to bother with it because he despawns, look. Okay, so with the VIP, I'm going to try and get a stack of my Banner of War. So I get a buff, so it procs Limit Break. I don't really need to, but I'm just showing off my buff stacking against this boss, basically. So I've got my biotic enhancements, Limit Break, yeah, and I'm just melting. Melt the VIP, all ads despawn. Obviously this is just a clear, for people to get it cleared. It's not a high score run. Obviously I'm doing a competition on high score runs right now, so I'm not going to show you how to get a high score because there's a competition currently going on for it. Which, if you don't know about, you can enter it on my Discord. There's a video being made about it. Go and watch the video for details. But for those who are actively competing in that, I will tell you now, the upper limit for score is 500,000. 500k is possible on a solo GM. For those that are competing in it, it's aimed at those people to say, look, hey, you're actually missing a couple of mechanics. Just revisit some stuff. I'm not going to tell you because it's competition. I don't want, you know, I'm just saying that there's maybe one player who gets it. The rest of you haven't understood how you can get more points. But I just thought it's a little clue. That's all it is. Right. So the champ section, I'm going to get a barricade down. It works as a good deterrent. And I'm going to try and actually do a debuff. No, I didn't debuff. I just went in with my grapple. I wanted to test the Glaive survivability. So I just went in on these champs, look. So go right in. I use the heavy attack as well. I get weak here. But look, survive. Glaive guard goes right up. That's what I'm on about. If you're going to do Glaive solo GM, you need to be prepared to get that damn guard up right away. Players who are not quick with a Glaive on the guard, and I don't recommend it, then go Arc Titan then. You know, it really is like that. The better you are with a Glaive, the better that this build will perform for you. If you're a little bit lackluster with a Glaive, it's no good. There's many other builds that you can run instead, but this has been a requested video, so I'm doing it anyways. I need Super coming up, and I need Banner of War. So this fight can be hairy on a Glaive build, so we're going to try and make the most out of it. Here we go. Banner of War goes in, buff. ADS for Wyvern Gaze. Wyvern Gaze, and then we're going to go to the boss. We're going to do a heavy attack, then swings. Look at the damage. That's with Banner of War, no Symphos. That's good damage, that, eh? Look at that. We get weak, we've slightly overcommitted. But I recognise and then back up. Boss is going to TP regardless. I don't want to pop super just yet. Because there's no ads up, right? Need to strategize it, so I'm going to do a bit of chip damage with Rocket Sidearm. And then we're going to put in some heavy damage Glaive. And then we're going to use a bit of cover. And then I need to hopefully try and build up some stacks of Banner of War, pop a super, debuff the boss if possible. If possible. So look, we get Banner of War. With melees. We can't get the debuff in time. Look, lads, we're too weak, so you just pop. So that was slightly unfortunate, but my composure was shaking a little bit, right? So it meant I couldn't get that Wyvern Gaze off right away, but look at the damage I did. I wouldn't have killed him anyway, so it's fine. It's absolutely fine anyways. I wouldn't have killed the boss. I would have got him maybe 10-15%. Boss does solar flare attack again. So I want to put some heavy damage in. Look at that chunk it does, the heavy attack. It's really good, the heavy attack on this glaive. Right, now we're getting weak, but we've got holder line. We've got damage resist, we've got the guard with the glaive. Yeah, so we're not too bad. The VIP spawn in, it gets hairy a little bit. This guy pushes. I know that the boss is going to do another solar attack, or he should do. The barricade works very well as well when we're defending ourselves at the final boss, because it's a deterrent. Rally barricade's been buffed, remember. It aggro's ads. Rally barricade's OP in the game. It's really OP. VIP pushes, but I don't want to kill him. So now what I'm going to do is loop round to a better location for damage. Yeah, so we're going to push up here. We get weak here. Same thing, we use our cover, use our knowledge. And we're basically going to finish the boss off here. So that was a solo GM with a Glaive Titan build. Works out really good. Bit hairy for the boss fight though, but this is what people wanted, so here's the run. Hope you enjoy. Thank you.